let's talk process, because I know we have different levels of familiarity with what we do here. So one is, around here, we always start with victory laps and celebrations, because when we do planning, it's so usual for us just to go in and our negativity bias and inner critic kicks in, and it's just like all the problems we need to solve, and then we get overwhelmed. But when we start with the good things and the victory laps, then we remember that, oh yeah, we can do big things, we can do hard things. Like, this is just a series of next steps that you're going to take. And the second reason we talk about victory laps here is because, especially when you've been running with your friends in a community, your success is not just your success, it's your friends and the pack's success too. And that's the reason why we have victory laps in sports and things like that, because it's a whole community effort sometimes. So if it takes a village, why not do the good things in front of the village too, right? Third reason we do victory laps is, I know for many of you, upping yourself and saying, I did a good job to yourself is something you probably practice a bit more, and better to do that in a space where it's going to be applauded versus when you're going to be nagged about it. Another thing I'll say here, and this is thinking about OKRs as we roll into that, is we focus a lot on quarter size planning and goals and projects. And that's because it's sort of that level of project that actually makes substantive changes in your life and business. Like, it's really hard for a week size or month size project to really do that. But a series of week size, month size projects that tie into a coherent quarter size project does significant work for your life and your business. So also, and we learned this last time, or someone said this from the last one, it can sometimes feel like, if you just look at the weekly and monthly level, it just seems like a bunch of stuff. Like, I just did a bunch of stuff. But when you take the quarter size view, you're like, oh yeah, I fixed that thing that's been bugging me, or I accomplished this thing that's been bugging me. But you only see that at the weekly, or excuse me, at the quarterly or yearly level, right? You often don't see it. It just looks like a bunch of random Lego blocks until you put it together and realize you built a house. So all of that said, we are pro celebrating, we are pro sharing your receipts, and we are pro upping each other around here. So who would like to start? One of the things that came up last week that I wanted to surface here is there's a relationship between sort of the SMART goal stuff that you've probably seen before and OKRs right now. So SMART goals, one of the reasons we've made a switch in the academy is that we have decided, or when you look at the way a lot of people do SMART goals, which is a more familiar framework, what ends up happening is you end up having like 18 or more goals that don't necessarily relate to each other. And the OKR framework is one way by which you can sort of look at some of those sub goals and see that they actually fit into a broader theme. So it helps organize your efforts in a way that I've learned that SMART goals and things like that do not, right? So that's one piece there. But really, to talk about it, you'll hear me say two things here, depending upon what mood I'm in. So you might hear me say OKRs, which stands for objectives or key results. But you might also hear me say OKPs, which stands for objectives, key results, and projects. Objectives, key results, and projects. And if I use the latter, it's because I'm trying to remind you that projects are things that you decide to do that help you achieve key results, that help you advance an objective. And a lot of times what we'll do with our key results is we'll have projects masquerading as a key result, right? And then what we do is we commit to the project and get project locked, irregardless of whether it's driving our key result forward, irregardless of whether it makes sense anymore. But when you really understand, like, and that's why I talk about OKPs, I wanted to introduce the main framework, but then talk about it in the way, when you really understand that, wait a second, I'm holding on to that project, and this is what Sam mentioned earlier, but I've already gotten a key result. Or I found another project that actually does it better. It lets you let go of that project because the project was only there to get the work done. You found another way to get the work done, let it go, right? So what are objectives and key results? So objectives are qualitative, engaging statements that specify what you're trying to accomplish. Your objectives are really the where you're trying to go. Okay. Key results are the quantitative specific results that, if accomplished, would indicate that you've accomplished your objective. So your objective is like, we want to go there. And the key results say it's like, when this happens, we're there. Okay. So what it actually allows us to do is to have objectives that are really meaningful for us and really compelling for us, and nail that down and not get hacked to death by the details of projects or key results right from the jump.